What's up, everyone? Welcome to the 48th episode of the Balanced Business Podcast. As always, it's Nico, Larissa, and Justine here today. Justine is actually on the back end making sure that our podcast is running. So you might not hear from her today, but we're all here, and I'm really excited. Larissa, what are we talking about today? What's going on?
Well, we've done some of these in the past and we thought it might be fun to revisit. So basically, we want to talk about messaging today and how to improve your messaging so that it actually converts and it does the job you want it to do. So we're going to look at three different mediums: one ad, one LinkedIn message, and one email. So these are all cold outreach methods to try to get in front of somebody and try to get them to take a particular action. Now, we're going to use real life examples. So I do want to just kind of preface this by saying, if you happen to be listening to this podcast or watching it, and you see an example from your company, maybe take our advice and see how it works. Because we are going to be using real life examples. The first LinkedIn message we're going to look at is one that I've received personally in my inbox. So I'll go ahead and kind of share my screen and we can talk about how we would improve it. Okay, so I'm going to read it out for anybody who may be listening and can't see what we're talking about. So Dimitri sent me a message on LinkedIn that said, "Hi, Larissa, I would be glad to become a part of your network. We make custom 2D, 3D explainers and commercial animated videos. Please let me know if you would like to learn more about our prices and creative process. Our website is innovativeagency.com or innovatagency.com. So I have a lot of thoughts off the get, but Nico, I want to get your initial impression. How would you rate this message on a scale of 1 to 10?
Yeah, I mean, so there's two categories, right? If it's a direct pitch, right, and like a 5. If it's meant to actually like get connected to someone to start a conversation to lead to a sales call, or like a 2.
Okay. I like that you mentioned those two different ways really we can kind of consider this message. Like, yes, this is a direct pitch, and if you put it in front of enough people, you might get somebody interested. You might. Now, this is where the platform comes in about why that's kind of a tricky thing to do through a LinkedIn message. One is that LinkedIn will prioritize accounts that have higher rates of connection. So sending something like this, you're probably going to have a pretty low connection rate. My guess is like under 5%. So that is a flag to LinkedIn to potentially flag your account as spam. So one thing to consider is that in terms of account security, a message like this is somewhat likely to get you, I don't want to say blocked or blacklisted or anything like that necessarily, but it could lead to that if you do it over prolonged periods of time and you're maxing out LinkedIn's connection request limits. And that's another point to the platform itself. LinkedIn has connection request limits. So let's say you maybe could get one person to respond to this out of every 300, you would get one positive response out of over 3 weeks, because that's LinkedIn's monthly limit is, or weekly limit is like 100 a week. So that's where I would recognize like that's a challenge here. There are some things I think actually were done really well. First thing, like I think the like profile picture is great. I really like it. I can have a decent idea of what's going on just in the headline of him saying it's manager at Innovate, which does explainer videos. I would maybe change this to be a little bit more targeted to the niche. However, I mean, high level to be able to see like, okay, this is a person who can see their face. This is what they do. And they do explainer videos. Cool. That's really helpful to me. Nico, what do you think they could do better?
Yeah, I mean, like the biggest thing is like offer. I mean, even with LinkedIn, you can target people by industry or company size or something like that. Even if you're going to do something like this, you can bring it up like, hey, I saw that you're in Arizona, right? Go to my Arizona network, like something like that. Just makes it feel a little bit more personalized. Um, the other side is like it's not really an offer, right? It's a service, and a lot of companies mistake offer and service, right? So it's like, hey, we do SEO. No, not really. Like SEO is a mechanism to get you there, but that's not really an offer, right? It's like he's selling his services rather than selling an offer, right? Like, why do I need 2D, 3D explainer videos? Like, what's that going to do for my local services agency? Like that, you haven't really convinced me the need. You told me what you do, which is fine, but like, unless I'm really like, I had a meeting this morning with some, a staff member or something like that, and they said we need 2D videos, and then I see this message that would make me feel enticed to do it, but like otherwise, not really.
Yeah, and the likelihood that other people are going to have that context on this service and already feel a need for it is somewhat low. Um, Not entirely, and it might work better in some industries than others. My guess is that this is not a super successful message. Um, and there's a couple reasons for it. The first one would be it's kind of long. It's not like crazy long, but really, there's a lot of fluff in here, right? So, first thing, I will be glad to become a part of your network. Well, it's a connection message. So, like, sure. And maybe if the goal is just to kind of get connected with somebody so you can start a conversation, that may not be the worst thing in the world. But going directly in for a hard pitch on LinkedIn, again, to me, it's wasting your connection requests and your messaging request limits, because you're going to get very little of this. It's potentially blacklisting your account because you're going to have very low connections and replies from it. However, in the messaging itself, I personally on LinkedIn don't like going in directly for a pitch because it's really common to use LinkedIn DMs in this particular way. And anybody who has a LinkedIn account probably gets messages like these all the time, which doesn't mean it's a bad way to do it, but you got to stand out. And this is not something that stands out. This is something that's going to immediately get bucketed mentally for me as spam. And I'm just going to say nope and never look at it again. And I wouldn't even accept the connection. Now, if Dimitri came in and said, hey, Larissa, I'm just looking to be part of your network, I can see what they do. And they follow that up with maybe a couple message sequence that says like, hey, I see your agency does XYZ. Have you ever thought about doing animated videos? That's like a whole different thing. That's actually starting a conversation with me and testing my need for it or my desire. However, that's not what's happening here. So, to get in that space, it's certainly doable. I also don't know that LinkedIn is probably the best platform to search for this. However, I could be wrong. Any other thoughts on Dimitri's message before we move on, Nico?
Nope.
Okay. Well, Dimitri, if you're listening to this, we think you can do better than this. We have faith in you. I look forward for you following this up with hopefully a more personalized message that is going in a little bit less for the sale. I think you'll probably have more success. So our next one that we have to go over is an email that was received. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit here so it's a little easier to see. We have the screenshot up here, but we went ahead and pasted the text in here, so it's just a little bit easier to see. So demand gen for B2B tech companies is our forte and results are guaranteed. Choosing VIB is an easy decision. We have pilot programs that are easy on the budget and let us put our money where our mouth is. Palo Alto, PTC, and Trip Actions are finding great success with us. I'm confident Boundless Media will too. Here are data sheets for different vehicles to drive you to your goals. Please message me with any questions or schedule a meeting here. I have a $75 Amazon/Visa gift card waiting for you. From Nicole, who's an SMB salesperson. She's got her calendar link and phone number and lists her time zone in the signatures. So, and the subject line is demand gen at your service, $75 to learn more, and high potential for pipeline build. It's certainly worth noting this message got flagged by Gmail, so their SMTP and their sending processes are not necessarily the safest in the world. They likely aren't warming their emails, if I had to guess, and they're burning through email domains, which they might even be using their actual email domain to send this, which if that is the case, that's a little bit dangerous to
Yeah,
do.
I'm
We
gonna
don't
jump.
advise people do that.
I'm gonna jump in here because like unless you're doing this every day, like SMTP and all this might not make sense. So I'll distill down. Basically, this email was sent to spam, right? Um, and it might be for a multitude of reasons. That one reason that it most likely is that they are sending out a bunch of these emails from one domain, and they're all being marked as spam, and therefore Google recognizes that this is spam. Um, maybe they're not warming up their domain, or they're sending too many. There's a multitude of reasons, but basically this email has gone and now it's quote unquote burned because it's always landing in the spam box. And very few of us are looking at the spam box because it's usually there for a particular reason. Um, but towards the offer itself, I mean, much like my comments for the other one, like it's very enticing. They're like, hey, here's a $75 Visa gift card. But really, like, I still don't know what's in it for me, right? So, like, they mentioned we have pilot programs, blah blah blah. Like, doesn't really matter to me, right? Whenever you're writing copy or messaging, whatever that is, like it's about the person reading it, right? Call out the individual, right? Why does this matter to me right now? Um, Without answering those questions, like, I mean, great, $75 gift card, but I've jumped on calls when I didn't have a business just for this offer because well, 30 minutes for a $75 gift card, that's pretty good, right? So, like, you still haven't sold me on anything. And coupons and discounts and all that are fine, but there's nothing in there, right? Um, they bring up a couple of people, but they're not agencies. So to me, you threw in random companies. It's like me going and saying, "Hey, Walmart, Amazon, and Barnes and Nobles all carry our merchandise." Well, I sell fruit. It's like cool, but like they're not really particular people to me, right? So these are quick hacks that you can just use to really get your message to land, right? If you take the last one versus in this one, just calling out your audience with a very specific offer that means something to them can transform this message to like 4 or 5 to 6, 7, 8.
Yeah. I would actually say overall, like this is a decent like starting point here. There's a few other things to just keep an eye out for, like what's the first thing they tell you in email scam phishing trainings. If it has a link in it, don't open it, send it straight to spam, delete it. Don't include links in your emails because they will not be well received, and it makes it more likely for it to go in the spam box. It's also just, you don't know how reliable this information is. Maybe the meeting link. And it's also, there's no direct call to action here. It's just, please message me with any questions or schedule a meeting here. But it's not saying like, schedule a meeting about what? Like, what is the purpose of me taking any other action? Like, to your point, Nico, like, what do I get out of it? Like, sure, I get a $75 Amazon gift card, maybe, if I schedule a meeting. But again, a meeting I have no real context for. They mention up here demand gen, but they also say up here demand gen for B2B tech companies. We're not a B2B tech company. They do guarantee their results, whatever that guarantee looks like. They don't give any examples of what these results look like either. So I just feel like there's a lot of questions here. It's not sticky enough for me to say like, oh, for sure, like I want 10 new clients in the next 3 months. If those are the results you're guaranteeing, like maybe I'm interested, but it's not saying that. It's just saying results are guaranteed. And that's so vague. It doesn't really call out to me.
Absolutely.
So Nicole, you also have some work to do. Hopefully this is helpful for you. Nico, I'm going to go ahead and let you share your screen to show some ad examples of ads that can be improved.
Yeah, so I've got this nice little tool. It's called My Ad Finder. It basically finds all the ads that are being run to you on Facebook. So kind of interesting if you want to see like who's targeting you and why. It's a great one. So I have it from this company called Pure Digital Demand. A little bit lengthy, so I might like peruse, but we'll see. If you're looking to generate more leads for your business, consider using company name. Let me just close out. close out Slack so we don't get any fun notifications. Our powerful platform uses advanced algorithms to help you target the right customers, turn them into leads. You can easily create personalized ads, capture attention. Plus, our intuitive interface makes it simple to track success for campaigns and make data-driven decisions. Blah blah blah. Reach out to us today to see how we can help you grow your business, right? And then they gave their contact info. So, I mean, that's a lot. Like it's just so much, especially for an ad, right? So Larissa, I'll have you
That's
have
a
a
that's a very text heavy ad. Is there any like image that goes with it?
no, it was like one of those like it must have been on like stories or something like that. Because like I don't see it here. I mean, we can go to the ad library to find it, but yeah, it's like a lot. There's no and for context for anyone listening, like it looks like they stopped advertising it actually. So
Good.
yeah, but I mean, what are
So
your thoughts?
yeah, one, it's just a giant block of text. Nobody would stop and look at that at all. I bet that had no conversions with it. Uh like even just looking at it, it's so long. Like that's what, like 7 sentences. With ads especially, you have like 2 seconds to grab somebody's attention, maybe less than that, probably less than a second, to be honest. This would not grab anybody's attention and get them to actually stop. I actually think the copy is not necessarily the worst thing in the world. Like, I mean, it could for sure be improved, but also they're saying like you can create personalized ads that will capture the attention of your audience, and this is the ad they're running. Like it's not exactly a great overview of what you might get from them, because again, it's just a text block. Like it's not super helpful. um so intuitive interface, like there's just a lot of things they're mentioning here, and ads I think is one of those things where it's really important to show, not tell. Like it's really important to be able to see, like, if you want to generate new, like show me how I do that. Maybe video would be better. Maybe they could put together a really great graphic that can do it. um but yeah, I think we need a lot more here, and something that I don't have to spend a century reading.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's same advice, right? It always boils down to niche, offer, message, and then the sales mechanism, right? So like we've been looking at sales mechanisms before, like on everything, including this ad. Like grow your business, right? For who, right? Who's this best for? You're probably looking at someone who runs ads, right? So like you might want to bring that up. Like, hey, for businesses growing ads, right? That even segments people in because you don't want people in your pipeline that don't run ads because they might not be able to use this. Same with offer, like is it a free giveaway? Is it a test? Is it a trial? Like why? Like you haven't really given me any reason to contact you, right? There's no like, I mean, if we just scroll up really quickly here, right? Um, there's one that's really good here, right? Like Gym Launch, I mean, they do a great job. Let's just go to should just stay on Gym Launch, to be honest. Um, but I mean, like, if you just look at Gym Launch, right? Like gym owners, great. I'm not a gym owner. I skip the ad, right? Offer. I'm giving away a 30-minute done for you ads blueprint for free, right? And they give a link. Then they go into the reason why, you know, they go into like, you know, PSs. The ad creative is funny, and I know this ad does really well because Gym Launch is one of those companies that like I just follow very religiously, right? Um, so I mean, even within that quick breakdown, it's still this is more text heavy, but they tell you exactly, hey, click this link, you're gonna grab this, and apply on our thank you page, and schedule a call, and join our free group, right? Um, so I mean, the comparison, Larissa, what do you think between like this ad versus the other ad that we just saw?
Well, the call to action seems a bit more clear, like what exactly you would be getting and doing. I also like that they have some like actual creative along with it, that it's like a nice like video. Um, And I mean, yeah, I know this company does ads really well, and I like that they break it out with like emojis. Like it doesn't feel as overwhelming to me text wise as the other one did. Even though this is more text, it's easier for my brain to say like, okay, I can kind of skim this and I can still totally get what's being said. Like I don't need to necessarily like dig through it to figure out like what's happening. And it's because they broke it out really well, and they use things like emojis to say like, here's how you do it, this is what happens. And they also did add some like FOMO in there where they say like claim your free copy now before it's gone. um that's one thing that I would maybe, if they wanted to make it like a little extra sticky, they could probably go in and add like a more concrete version of FOMO, for example. So claim your free copy now before it's gone on January 2nd or something like that. Something to say like, this will no longer exist, or it's only available to first however many users or whatever. Get people to maybe make action quicker. But for this particular ad, they may not need that.
Yeah. So hopefully you guys found this interesting. We want to take different elements, direct messaging like LinkedIn and email and ads, because there's no one dimension of attracting clients, right? There's so many different ways of doing it. And hopefully these tips on 3 different mechanisms and mediums will help you. And if you have any questions, please let us know at getbalancemedia.com, because we'd love to either audit yours for free, maybe put it on the pod, and maybe put on YouTube, or maybe just be able to help. Larissa, Justine, anything else we want to add before we get going?
I think that's it for me.
Justine saying nope. So let's rock and roll. We'll see you guys in the next pod, and have a fantastic rest of your day.